What if I told you that some of the strongest people in the world don't even realize they're strong? They're not the loudest in the room, not the ones with picture-perfect confidence, and they don't necessarily have life all figured out. In fact, they might be the ones quietly fighting battles nobody sees. You might even be one of them, and not know it yet. Imagine this: you've been through things that would have broken other people. You've had nights where you doubted yourself, mornings when you didn't want to get up, and days that felt impossible. Yet somehow you're still here, still showing up, still trying. Maybe you think that's just survival. But what if that's strength, hidden, quiet, and far greater than you give yourself credit for? We often think strength looks like being fearless, never crying, or always having the answers. But true mental strength isn't loud. It's not about being unbreakable. It's about how you rebuild every time you break. And today, we'll explore 7 subtle signs that you're far stronger than you think. Let's start with the first one, and it's one most people overlook. You don't need validation to keep going. Think about it. How many times have you kept pushing forward even when no one noticed? No one clapped. No one said, "I'm proud of you"? You didn't need the applause. You just did what you had to do. That's mental strength. Because real strength isn't about proving something to others. It's about staying consistent with your values even when the world is silent. It's about saying, "I'll do it anyway," even when no one's watching. That quiet discipline, that's power. Picture this: a person who runs every morning before sunrise. No Instagram posts, no gym selfies, just a silent commitment to themselves. They're not chasing attention, they're chasing growth. If that's you, even in your own way, you're already stronger than you realize. But here's a twist: strength isn't always about pushing harder. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let go. The second sign of hidden strength is that you've learned to walk away from people, habits, or places that no longer help you grow. That's one of the hardest things a person can do. Because walking away isn't giving up. It's choosing peace over chaos, growth over comfort, and long-term healing over short-term relief. It's saying, "I deserve better," even when it hurts. Remember that time you let go of someone who kept hurting you, even though a part of you still cared? That's not weakness, that's emotional maturity wrapped in pain. It takes immense courage to choose yourself, especially when your heart wants to hold on. And the next time you think you're weak for walking away, remind yourself, weak people cling. Strong people release. Now, the third sign might surprise you: you've failed and kept going anyway. Most people see failure as an ending. You saw it as feedback. Every time life said no, you found another way. That's resilience. The ability to adapt, to get up again when everything in you says, "Stay down." Remember, every person who's ever achieved something meaningful has failed, often and painfully. What separates the strong from the rest isn't success. It's their response to failure. Think of how many times you've fallen short. A job that didn't work out, a relationship that ended, a plan that fell apart. Yet here you are, still breathing, still learning, still trying again. That's not luck. That's strength disguised as persistence. And it's one of the rarest forms of it. Now here's something people almost never connect to strength: empathy. The fourth sign you're stronger than you think. You still care, even after being hurt. You could have closed off your heart. You could have decided to stop trusting, to stop feeling. But you didn't. You still hope, you still love, you still believe in goodness, despite everything that's happened. That takes an enormous amount of courage. Because caring after being hurt is like walking barefoot through broken glass. It's painful, but it shows a heart that refuses to be hardened. Psychologists say that people who've suffered yet remain compassionate often have higher emotional resilience. Why? Because they've learned that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength in its purest form. The ability to stay open, when life gives you every reason to close, is a silent kind of bravery that most people never see. But let's pause for a second, because the next one might hit close to home. The fifth sign: you're self-aware enough to admit when you're struggling. It takes far more strength to say, "I'm not okay," than to pretend you are. Most people hide behind masks of control and perfection, but you've learned that honesty, especially with yourself, is the foundation of growth. When you can look in the mirror and admit, "I need help," or "I need rest," that's not weakness. That's wisdom. Think about it. The strongest trees aren't the ones that never bend. They're the ones that know how to sway with the wind. Pretending to be invincible breaks people. Admitting you're human keeps you alive. So if you've ever had the courage to ask for help, to take a break, to cry instead of suppressing everything, that's your strength showing. Now, let's talk about something almost invisible but incredibly powerful. The sixth sign: you keep your standards even when it would be easier not to. In a world that constantly tells you to take shortcuts, to settle, to blend in, you've chosen integrity. Maybe that means you refused to gossip, even when everyone else did. Or you stayed honest, even when lying would have been more convenient. That quiet commitment to your values, that's strength. Because it's easy to be kind when life is kind. It's easy to be moral when things are simple. But when everything's messy and you still choose to do what's right, that's where true strength lives. There's a quote that says, "Character is what you do when no one's watching." But I think real strength is what you do when no one would blame you for giving up and you still don't. Now, before we reach the last sign, let's reflect on something most people never consider. The seventh sign: you're stronger than you think. You've turned pain into purpose. Maybe your struggles taught you empathy. Maybe your heartbreak made you wiser. Maybe your failures gave you perspective. Whatever it is, you didn't just survive, you transformed. Pain didn't make you bitter. It made you better. And that's one of the rarest transformations in human life. Most people stay stuck in what hurt them, but you've taken that energy and used it to help others, to understand yourself, to grow deeper. Every scar has a story. Every story has a lesson. And when you start seeing your pain as a teacher instead of a punishment, you unlock a level of inner strength most never reach. But here's the paradox. Real strength doesn't always feel like strength. It often feels like exhaustion, doubt, or tears in the dark. Because strength isn't glamorous. It's not about having it all together. It's about quietly refusing to give up again and again and again. You might not feel strong right now, but strength isn't something you feel in the moment. It's something you realize in hindsight, when you look back and think, "I can't believe I made it through that." And you did. Maybe your strength isn't loud, maybe it's not perfect, but it's real. It's in the way you care when it's easier not to, the way you keep trying when it's tempting to stop, the way you heal without fanfare or applause. That's your hidden power. So here's the truth most people don't realize. Strength isn't about how much you can endure. It's about what kind of person you become because of what you endured. Every moment that tested you has also refined you. You're not behind, you're becoming. And if you're still here, still listening, still learning, still growing, that alone is proof that you're stronger than you think. Now, before we end, here are a few quiet reminders to carry with you. First, don't measure your strength by how others see you. The strongest souls often look ordinary on the outside. Second, be proud of the battles no one knows you're fighting. And third, remember, you don't need to be fearless to be strong. You just need to keep showing up despite the fear. Because in the end, strength isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down for too long. You get up again and again, quietly, steadily, and that's what makes you unstoppable. In the next video, we'll explore something just as fascinating: why some people seem to thrive under pressure while others crumble, and what that reveals about your brain's hidden wiring. If you found this eye-opening, subscribe for more calm, insightful tales of the mind. Because sometimes the most powerful kind of strength is the one that doesn't shout. It simply endures.